Alrighty, what is up, and welcome back to the Critical Podcast 2025. This time, I'm here with James. Obviously, you all know
Hello.
that. Um, this time we will be doing our top 10 albums and songs of the year. Um, Overall, a good year for music, I'd say. At this point, I feel like it's not hard to be a good year for music because good music always exists somewhere. Um, but yeah, what was your thoughts?
Yeah, I do think this was another good year for music. In some ways, it was harder to make my list this year than last year because there were more really strong, in particular, albums this year. My songs list was pretty easy, but particular tracks, but albums, I had to do a lot of thought on that.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. So we're just gonna get started. For you all who don't know how this works, each of us says our number 10 album and song, and then the next person says their number 10 album and song, number 9 album song, so on and so forth. You get that. You'll understand it once we get through it. Um, but yeah, I'm gonna start out with my number 10 album. Yeah, this was a little bit of a harder year in terms of um albums rather than songs. Songs was easy for me too. Um, my number 10 album was "The Only Heaven You'll Know" by Caskets. This is like the very bare like minimum like this is a very straightforward hard rock album. It's got a lot of good cuts on here. This one was one of the more recent ones I listened to, so I don't have a lot to say in terms of like track to track individually. But this album was stronger than a lot of things that I'd listened to earlier, so I just kind of had to put this one in here because there were a lot of number 10s that I had before this one, but then I listened to this and I was like, yeah, it's pretty good. Maybe not as good as their last album, but it was quite solid. A lot of good cuts like the opener, Lost in the Violence, Our Remedy, which features Make Them Suffer. The title track is actually really good too. The closer, Broken Path. I have a particular affinity for closers, so good closers are always going to get a shout from me
That's yeah,
on albums.
absolutely agree.
um, so yeah, there's going to be a lot of closers on my list this year. So yeah, that's that. And my number 10 song, this is a song that has been this is the song that has been on. I've probably listened to this song the most out of any song on this list. That's Heat Wave by Dreamwake.
Okay.
Um, this is a closer.
Yeah.
Shock horror.
Yeah.
The closer to their album The Lost Years, which I will be talking about later. Um, this band is a this band is a great straightforward metal band, but they have a nice infusion of synths and of saxophone. Um, and we love saxophones here in the Southworth household.
Yes.
We love saxophones and metal here in the Southworth household. We have to make that clear. This song is very like and the music video kind of gives it its full feel. This is a very nostalgic feeling song. Um, about sort of like appreciating where you are in the moment without letting the past sort of let without letting go of the past. It's like a song basically about the summer, not letting memories go and stuff like that. It's a very strong song, great saxophone solo in this song. And just overall yeah, I'd say that song is probably the one I listened to the most this year. It's just addicting to listen to overall. So yeah.
Okay. My number 10 album of the year is from Paramore frontwoman Hayley Williams with her self-titled Ego Death at a Bachelorette Party, which is a really cool album title. This album sort of came out unexpectedly this year. She actually released it on a random website at first where she had like little MP3 files of some of the songs, but then it eventually came out as a full release. I waited until it came out as a full release because I wanted to listen to the tracks in the proper order, but this is really good. I have liked her other self-titled work, but none of the others had impressed me enough to make my top 10, but this one really did. I think it's because it has a focus on it, which makes me sort of concerned about the future of Paramore as a band, because her and Taylor York have been in a deeply committed relationship for a while, but apparently that is not the case anymore. This album seems to imply that quite a few times on this album. Um, especially with specific tracks. But it's not just about that. It's also talking about her history as an artist and um, her views on important social issues, which I think she does a really good job at putting out, and also some of the mental problems she has, such as like with anxiety and things like that. There are so many like standout tracks on here. I love Parachute, which is definitely one of the more bittersweet tracks about her relationship with Taylor York and um, how she feels like he didn't really give her a soft place to land when they lost their relationship with one another. There's a particularly saddening line in the song where she talks about how she was actually married to someone before him and how she would have run away with him on her wedding day if he had asked her. So it shows how much she cares about him. A very sad track, but I think really effectively delivered. I also really like True Believer, where she talks about the state of her hometown, Nashville, Tennessee, and how a lot of Christian nationalism has dominated it, but how she still believes that the inherent goodness of the state can come back again if people start believing in the good aspects of God rather than the ones that are politically advantageous. Um, there are so many great highlights on here. Um, Musically, the album is a very good piece of like indie rock. The guitars are just very cleanly produced. I love the subtle incorporation of synths. Certain songs like Parachute or the closer Showbiz actually bring back a little bit of the classic Paramore rock sound that I'd been sort of missing out on. So, I mean, this is just a very strong album from front to back. Just um, I think really does stand against some of Paramore's best work too. So Haley Williams shows really remarkable growth here as an artist. My number 10 song also so happens to be one of my top played songs on Spotify. Um, Not my number one, but one of the top five, and that is Lacrima by Ghost.
Wow, that's low.
Uh
Wow.
huh. Just because a song is a top played by me doesn't mean that like it will always be my absolute favorite. But I
I'm
still
just
do.
surprised because of how much praise you gave that song.
Yeah,
But
I still do really love this song. Don't get me wrong. It's just that the ones above it are inherently, in my opinion, of a bit higher quality. But this one is still. I mean, it thrives in its sense of simple fun. I think is really what it has going for it. Um, the guitar riff at the beginning is just immediately really catchy, along with the synths. It's sort of like a classic Ghost song. Now I'm someone of the mind that I don't mind Impera at all. In fact, I like Impera better than Skeletor, which I know is probably a controversial opinion. But I do of course think that Ghost's earlier material is their best. But this song brings back their earlier sound, which I did really like and does a good job of combining it with sort of the modern 80s glam rock that they're doing on their newer albums in a really effective way. Um, the song is about, not crying any tears over a breakup that you've experienced, which is a bit of a cliched subject matter, but the delivery of it is really what makes it work. The chorus is just so freaking catchy. One of the catchiest, if not the catchiest chorus of the year. Just so much fun. I love in particular the key change that happens in the final chorus. Just really sends the song over the edge. And Mark said it's just, yeah, such fun rock. I think that in a time where a lot of mainstream rock is so boring, it's nice to see Ghosts like being at the forefront of making it refreshing again, and what's more, being popular for it, like getting deserved popularity for it. So yeah, I just one of the most fun songs of the year by a long shot.
nice. Yeah, my number nine is Spirit Box Tsunami Sea.
Mine too.
Oh, album. Wow. Well, there we go. Two for two once again.
Yeah, we always
I
have
don't think
some
there's
crossover.
I don't think there's ever a year where we don't have a crossover in both. Well, I don't know if this is the first crossover in both in a while. I'm trying to think. But
It's yeah.
um regardless, yeah, this album to follow up such perfection as Eternal Blue is a task among itself. While this album, I think we both agree this album isn't as good as Eternal Blue. Um,
Not quite.
not qu- it's very close. I mean, I still this is like number nine, and it's at an I gave it an 85, so that's very telling of where the rest of the quality of this album is. But I mean, the first four songs on this album are just god tier, like back to back to back first four song opening. Um, Fata Morgana is a great classic Spirit Box opener. Um, Perfect Soul, just one of the best choruses that Spirit Box has put out. Um, they have some really fun ones like Keep Sweet, which is like a little bit more of a fun. I don't know poppy if poppy is right, but
Pop
um,
punkish, I would say.
Soft Spine is a great, hardcore. The title track is Eternal Blue Part Two,
Yeah.
but it's very good. And then one of my more surprising ones that I just get have to give a shout out to is Crystal Roses, a more EDM sort of track that
Hmm.
um has this beautiful, um she's belting out Crystal Roses, and it's a beautiful song, and this one particularly grew on me almost to the point where it beat out my favorite song on the album, which you know what it is, but um yeah. And then Haven with Two Faces, obviously great song too.
Hmm.
So yeah, this was a very solid album. Um, Another great, like, Spirit Box just does not miss. Do
Indeed.
you have
Song.
anything to add?
No, go ahead
Oh,
to your song,
oh,
and
oh,
I,
okay,
and then
okay,
I'll add on
okay.
if I have.
My number nine song. And we had a bit of a rule with this band. This band released their album late, so late last year that we physically could not have put it in our 2024 list. Otherwise, it would have been there. Um, but this song is "That's Reanimation" by the Chilling Alpine Adventure. In an album that I will be mentioning very soon. This song stuck out. Just a really fun song. And this band formed from Falling Up, which is one of the all-time Christian bands ever to exist. Um,
One of the all-time bands ever to exist, I would
and
say.
their self-titled from 2015 is in my top five of all-time albums. Period. But this song has a really fun tone to it. This band takes what Falling Up did, and I don't know, it makes it even more mellow, but like a little bit more fun. I
Yeah,
don't know that this
yeah.
album reminded me of Your Sparkling Death Cometh rather than the newest, the self-titled from
And your
2015.
Sparkling Death is my favorite from Falling Up, personally.
um this one has it's hard to glean any meaning from most of Falling Up songs because they're a bit of an absurdist band when it comes to lyricism.
Hmm.
That's not to say it's a bad thing, but if you listen to some of the songs from their self-titled, half the songs don't make any freaking sense at all. But they just come together in this beautiful mixture of soft electric guitars, great drumming. In this particular song, great falsetto usage in many parts, a really addicting chorus that got stuck in my brain, in my head a lot of times. So I really loved this song in particular. This is the one that stuck out from the album to me most of all.
Yeah. I'll go. You already know my number nine album is Tsunami Sea by Spirit Box. I won't add on too much, but yeah, I do think that this is a very good follow up to Eternal Blue. It especially makes sense and uh, context with it following up the Fear of Fear EP. I feel like it's building up on a lot of the stuff that they were establishing with the sound of that EP, which is actually probably my favorite work from Spirit Box in general at this point. But I do like that they go for a bit of a darker sound on the album. I think it works very much so in their favor, while still not abandoning the conceptual arc of Eternal Blue. In fact, they purposefully are continuing the story here, and I always respect a band who likes to tell stories, conceptual stories throughout their album. And that is clearly what they're doing here. Also, sort of connecting the story to like their own childhood home, which was very much so one surrounded by water and oceans, particularly showed compellingly in A Haven with Two Faces, which is such a cool piece of progressive metal that I was not really expecting from them. I mean, I know they'd be capable of something like that, but it was just sort of wild to see it happen. Um, and yeah, that song just flows so well. Such a really excellent piece of prog rock that I really loved. I also love Feta Morgana, one of my absolute favorites on the album. I agree that Crystal Roses is a surprising standout. One that I've come on more recently is Ride the Wave. That wasn't one that was one that I would consider a top favorite of mine when I first heard it, but I really did like it more, especially when we saw Spirit Box live, and it gave me sort of a new perspective on the song that I hadn't really considered before. I thought it worked really well. Speaking of which, if you haven't seen Spirit Box live, you should. They're very good.
Yeah, and if you can happenstance, we see them with Periphery and Honey Revenge, which that probably won't happen again. But yeah, that
Yeah.
was a great show.
My number nine song is from a band that I will be talking about later, but that is Infinite Source by
Mm.
Deftones. Um, oh, this song is immaculate to the ears. Just a pure vibe and a half is what I could best describe it as. But also sort of a bittersweet song. When I was looking through the lyrics of the song when the first time I listened to it, it makes me wonder how much longer Deftones is going to stay around because it feels like sort of a goodbye song in many ways. Them talking about like one last time on the stage and like holding on to each other while the times last that they can perform. And they have been around for a good long while. They've been out since 1995, so they're definitely up there in age. And it wouldn't surprise me. But I mean, with a song like this, if this is how they go out, they've gone out on a very impressive note. This song is beautiful. Um, Deftones, I mean, their sound is undeniably influential. It's actually impressive how influential they are even now. They are influencing bands like Thornhill and Loathe and bands like that in the metal scene. So I mean their stake in the rock world is undeniable. I think. And this song is sort of like a little bit of a celebration of that, which I really like. Um, just beautifully executed throughout, flows really naturally. Um, just one of those songs that's really comforting to listen to and that really did stick with me all year long.
Yeah, my favorite song from that album was so hard to pick. Um, but yeah. Um, so my number 8 album came into this list very end of the year. It was hard for me to not put it higher, but because of the fact that I only listened through it one time, I couldn't put it higher. I certainly probably would, given a few more listens, but this is Liminal by Avrilize. Um, and this band just kind of exploded onto the scene last year with their album Freaks, which was a great album. This one is this one takes that album and throws it into the river in every way, shape, and form, pretty much. Um, this is an excellent. This is exactly what I imagined this band would evolve into.
Mm-hmm.
Just an excellent mixture of like this very like ethereal sound. There are some great, what you can't call a band that's been around for 1 year classic, but this is like just a nice mixture of like their harder sound mixed with this soft sound. Um, and this album definitely lives up to its name, the liminal weirdness that happens in some of these filler tracks, which filler tracks are 50-50 for me, but they do add some interesting sonic tension to this album in a way. Um, I think the obvious it's hard for me to not put a song on here in my top 10, but none of them did just because I didn't listen to them enough. But Helium was a definite standout from this album, along with the ending track, Fading Faster,
Mm-hmm. Banger.
Close to You, banger.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Really nice soft track from them, which was surprising. So yeah, really enjoyed that album overall. That one would be something I can imagine would is going to get a lot more listens from me. Um, is my number 8 song. This is one of two tracks from movies that actually ended up being in my top 10.
Mm.
This is As Alive as You Need Me to Be by Nine Inch Nails.
Oh, that yeah, good
Um,
choice. Good choice.
this is a song that for someone who loves synth, if you love synth, you're going to love this song. It has got these oppressively dark synth, this synth, constant backing behind it that's like so addicting. Um, and Nine Inch Nails, like, listen, they may never release a new album again, but this is about as close as we're gonna get. And like, if there were any band that would carry Daft Punk's legacy for Tron, I still haven't seen the movie. But this track is fantastic. Um, it's a fairly simple one. You know, reflecting on Tron's themes of like, you know, being essentially in a computer program and it's inside a game. Um, but great vocal performance, great synth. The synth is just what really just makes this track like so great. Like it feels like a Tron track through and through, and it works so well. Yeah, just fantastic stuff.
Well, we got two in a row that were in the same album slots for us. I also have
Wow.
Lumo by Avrilize at number 8. I don't know
Oh,
if that's happened where we've had two in a row
I
like
don't think
that.
so. That's
Um,
crazy.
but yeah, I absolutely loved this album. Avrilize. What's more mind blowing is that they had released Freaks the year before, which is already a really good album. And normally, like, I would think that after an album like that, you might want to take some time to really try to rejuvenate and things. But also, it does make sense that, like, maybe while you're in a creative flow, you just strike while the iron's hot. And it seems that's what Avrilize did because this album is just as creative. I do think that it doesn't have as many crazy stylistic pivots as Freaks does. Um, but I do actually like it better for its consistency. Like it has a consistent sound and flow throughout, and there's still some really good surprises in it. Particularly with the drumming style that's on this album, very different from what they did on Freaks. There's a lot of drum fills on here that just made me go crazy the first time I heard them because they just sort of come out of nowhere and hit you like a freight train. The guitar work is also really unique on the album. Just guitar sounds that you don't typically hear in the metalcore scene like this. Um, they do they do an uncannily good job of making pop metal work very well for their sound, making some of the most catchy choruses in the metal scene I heard this year. Medicine, the opener, is so much fun. I love the subtle saxophone that plays throughout that one. Close to You is just awesome. Total vibe. Total vibe. A great ballad from Avrilize, and like Joseph said, a complete surprise. They've not really tried a ballad before. Not a full straight up ballad, I would say. Fading Faster is a banger, just a very danceable song. Um, I love the. I also love the title track. Definitely one of their heavier moments. Like a Boomerang is just a wild one. Sort of a cool next to last track, and then Cyanide is. Just another one that is so much fun to listen to, and uh, I mean. From the first time I listened to that song, I was like, "Wow, this one is going to be stuck in my head for ages," because it is such a catchy song. But my number 8 song actually does come from Avrilize, and it is Helium for me. This was a tough one to choose because I really like Helium and I really like the closer Fading Faster. But Helium did win, and I think this one wins not just for the commodity that it is Avrilize's heaviest song by a considerable margin, I would say, but also because I think it does really thematically work well within the album. The whole album seems to be about like liminal spaces symbolically representing like losing yourself to like exterior forces and just losing control of who you are. And this song is sort of like the desperate like climax of that happening, where the person is realizing, oh, I'm really am fading out who I really am, and I'm losing my identity. It's a very well executed song. The chorus, I think, is the band's catchiest. I really do. I think it is such a good chorus. Really gets hooks in your head. Um, the breakdown in this one is wild. It is so wild. And Bastion's vocals, the screams he's capable of here, I mean, he just really shows fully what he can do as a vocalist on this song, and it is just undeniably impressive. Yeah, I think this band is gonna have a pretty strong place within the metalcore scene. I think they've really set their stake in the ground. So I'm really excited to see what they do next. I'm okay if they take a long break after this
Yeah,
though,
wouldn't be
but
surprising.
but man, just a really impressive work.
Yeah. So my number 7 album is The Lost Years by Dreamwake. This album um has been up here pretty consistently the entire year. This is one of the earlier albums I listened to in the year. But kind of like I mentioned with Heatwave, this album very much so plays on nostalgia to a certain extent. But that kind of fits in the thematic the kind of theme of the album, which is like kind of like understanding, accepting your past. There's a theme of like sort of coming of a homecoming in this album of and such. So each, and like I said, each song has great saxophone usage. I just have to really emphasize how great that is again. This is a very, but otherwise very straightforward, heavy metal, great, but the lead singer, great clean vocals, great unclean vocals. Um, a lot of really fun stuff. This album is got a lot of long tracks too. Like the album clocks in at about an hour long, and it just takes you through this really nice. I don't know. It's just a very like comforting album to listen to because it just, I don't know, that they know how to play on like these emotions of like where you were and like and stuff like that. Very very like just, I don't know. It's one of those albums that just feels like very classic rock, but it also implements a lot of the modern stuff that you kind of expect with the synths and the saxophone. Um, a lot of great stuff in there. So yeah. Um, my number seven song, um, is Black Rainbow by Spirit Box. This is my favorite song from the album. Has been pretty much since I listened to it. I'm not gonna lie, there are certain times in life where I really gravitate towards heavier stuff. I think I've kind of always been the one of the two of us who kind of gravitates towards the heavier stuff a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
But this song does what I love and have come to love recently is like it has a very soft um sort of undertone. Like there's a lot of like weird, this song is weird too. It's very weird. Um it's got these robotic vocals, like almost this like death marchy sort of vibe towards the verses. Um there's no real chorus in this song either. It's just kind of this long like, yeah, like I said, like sort of death march feeling thing. Um and this is sort of thematically towards the album of like, this is like kind of the beginning where it's like um and I didn't bring up some of the lyrics here, but it's it goes from, these robotic vocals to her more screaming typical type of stuff. And yeah, it's just a really um great song. I really loved, yeah, just sort of the vibe of it. It's a very like dark vibe type of song, like James said, just emphasizing a lot of the dark vibes that come from this album overall. So um yeah, I really loved just how dark it was, and the weird vibe that it was.
Mm. At number seven for me, I think this year, rap had a really good year this year from the stuff that I checked out, and a lot of critics seem to agree. And I've got two rap albums in a row that I'm going to discuss that both really were very effective for me. And the first one is by this duo called Clips, called "Let God Sort 'Em Out." Um, this duo includes the rapper Pusha T and Malice, and both of them are just excellent MCs on this album. Two very talented rappers that I already like individually, particularly Pusha T, but they really have good chemistry on this album. I think they're cousins, if I'm not mistaken. Um, but this is just a very effective piece that just really shows two masters at work. Um, they aren't just doing like empty flexing, they're backing up what they're saying. And there's also a lot of dark depth to this album. There's a lot of darkness behind even the tracks where they are doing a little bit of braggadocious flexing. There's still this dark backbone of like, yeah, you have these things, but really, what is it going to bring you in the end? There's always that dark implication in the background that shows that these two have a good head on their shoulders and realize that um, they're they need to have more substance to what they're saying, and they do. They most certainly do. Not to say that they don't have fun on this album, because they do. There are a lot of great songs on here. I particularly love POV, which features Tyler, the Creator. He gives a great verse on it. Um, there are just so many bangers on here, and also some surprising vulnerable moments like the beginning track "The Birds Don't Sing," which actually starts the album on a bit of a softer note and features John Legend, who gives a really good vocal performance in the song. um I love Pharrell Williams' production throughout. It is fantastic. Yeah, just such a great piece of rap, with two MCs who just are really at the top of their game. And number seven also comes from this album called Chains and Whips, which also features Kendrick Lamar, who gives a feature of a lifetime. Um, as much as I loved his delivery on Not Like Us last year, and that made my favorite songs of last year, I think his verses here are better written, and he fires just uh, so many cool lines, and it is just wild. His verse is something to behold. The whole song is about is really about critiquing the lifestyle of glorifying the lifestyle of riches and fame and how that can lead you to ultimately death and destruction. Um, the verses are very interesting in that, or rather, the chorus is very interesting in that it points out that for a lot of black people who are rapping, the reason they do riches is to try to bring reclamation against oppressive culture from the past. It is a very compelling argument that is made, and they discuss that through the song, but also talk about the dark irony that comes with that of still there being more death and destruction in its wake and more corruption that comes as a result. Pusha T criticizes a particular rapper who abuses his wealth, and Malice talks about death directly. He even makes a really cool reference to the movie The Revenant that I brought a smile to my face the first time I heard it. And then Kendrick just closes it out with just an impact that leaves you speechless, where he talks about rappers that have betrayed him in the wake of the Drake and Kendrick beef, but still firmly puts his foot down that he does not take back anything that he said, and that he still stands on his word and conviction no matter what. Um, and the outro of the song is really just haunting and really well done. The production of this song is pristine and sort of gives you this creepy vibe. It just everything works so well about the song. My favorite rap song of the year.
Okay. Um, my number six album is the self-titled from the Chilling Alpine Adventure. Um, this is just, like I said, like falling up just continues. It really feels like this band just kind of continued where they left off back in 2015. Um, and this album, like I said, it sort of takes it's a very chill album. It's one of those albums you could listen to like at the beginning of the day. And it's pretty much chill all the way through. It has this the album the name works actually. It feels like a very wintry, chill
Mm-hmm.
almost album. I don't know how to say it other than that. Um, the opener is just great. These songs like it's like Falling Up's albums. Like there's you have to listen to them multiple times to kind of get the songs to stay in your head. But then when you listen to them more and more, you realize these songs are getting stuck in your head um, over and over again. It's a very chill album. It got a lot of familiar stuff for people who've listened to Falling Up, but there's a lot of new stuff here too. Obviously, the lead singer, his voice is just unbelievable. Like, I think this is one of my favorite Queen vocalists of all time, probably. Just so good, such a memorable, recognizable candor to his voice. Um, some other great tracks on here. The opener, Waterfall House, is a great um, has a great chorus, very memorable chorus to open the album. Um, Counter moves. Autumn 38 has a very Stranger Things esque vibe to the synth. Um, Tallgrass in the Lobby, very much so. Falling Up song through and through. The version, same thing. Just this album, just like from listening to it to now, this is definitely my most listened to album of like from here to now. It just has that very classic feel to it. That's like I don't know, and it just yeah, it was just very well done. I'm glad that they're back. So yeah, great album. I love it. Hopefully they continue on. Um, my number six song. This is probably the single outlier in my songs of like in terms of genre. This is "I Lied to You" by Miles Katon, and this is from the Sinners soundtrack. So this is an interesting one. Um, and now this is
Wait, what was it?
"I Lied to You" by Miles Katon.
Oh, nice,
Yeah,
nice.
this is the single song like this in my list, but this song from the moment I heard it in the movie, I just like could not stop listening to it. It is
Hmm.
so addicting. Miles Katon's voice, like I said in the movies. By the way, if you didn't watch the movies, check that out. It was released yesterday from now. Um, so this song is like it's got a great, great uh guitar, great, and Miles Katon's vocals are just unreal. The fact that it actually really was him and he took the time to learn the guitar, to learn singing. Um but it's the specific movie version of this song that sets it over the top because in the movie there's just this excellent moment of silence where the barn where they're playing in sort of opens up and all these other the spirits it's in and you have to contextualize this song with the movie too to a certain extent where his singing is so good it opens up a rift between the world of the dead and the future. Like an electric guitar starts playing, there's like past African tribes dancing.
Hmm.
It's just a really awesome moment that really sells this song over the top. It just Miles Guiton just has some great show off moments where he's just like humming and singing, and it's just like it's a vibey song. It is really a vibey song.
Hmm. Yes. um. Okay, number six for me is my other rap album, and what I would say is my rap album of the year, and that is by Backwash called "Only Dust Remains." This is a very this album is not an easy listen. I would say it's very unforgiving and very dark and harrowing. It sees her at her most uncompromised, I would say, and she's never really been one to shy away from dark topics in the first place. So that's really saying something. But the album is really dives into some of her deepest traumas of her dealing with gender identity issues of suicidal ideation, drug abuse, alcoholism. Um, and also talk her contextualizing this against violence in the world, specifically what's happening in Palestine and things like that. So it's a very powerful album that really did affect me. Wake Up is probably my favorite from the album, where she really gives like she really lays down all that's going on in her life, and it is powerful. It left me genuinely speechless the first time I heard it. History of Violence is also really great, contextualizing her own issues with violence from her abusive upbringing, as well as her own personal self harm that she's done to herself, as well as violence in the world at large. And really gives a pretty definitively powerful statement at the end that uh, leaves no secrets as to how she feels about the genocide happening. Um, it is it is something else. The backing rap beats are excellent in the song, or in the album rather. And her flow is just very effective and visceral. Just very compelling album from front to back. Like I said, not an easy listen, but it is one that really stuck with me. Um, my number six song is actually that's Reanimation from the Chilling Alpine Adventure. This one was also my favorite from the album for
Oh
sure.
wow, there we go,
Um,
another crossover.
uh, I liked that it brought a little bit of just a little bit of a hint of Falling Up's old sound into the mix with a little bit more of a rock flair to it. I had not really expected the band to ever bring that type of sound back because I do love their more synthetic and electronic soundscapes that they've done for their past albums. But it was very much so welcome on this one. I think brings a lot of unique personality to it. As always, they do a great job with the visual imagery in the song. I think even if the lyrics aren't necessarily about anything in particular, it's one where you can just sort of sit back and visualize what the band is lyrically singing about, and it really just creates a really beautiful picture in your head that I think is really comforting. Um, and yeah, I think the song really just is one that speaks for itself Just very beautiful track. Very fun to listen to, and Jesse's vocals, as always, are just heavenly to listen to.
Yep, yep, I agree. So my number 5 album is Coda by Novelists.
Really?
I freaking love this
I
album.
didn't know you liked that one the first time I played it for you.
Oh no, I love I love Novelists.
I love that album
I've
too.
listened to them since like 2016.
Yeah, I love that
Um,
album.
this album is like a freaking epic. Um, it kind of it doesn't have that same quality, but listening to it kind of reminded me of the first time I listened to A Beauty and Rage by Red.
Hmm.
It has that very like I don't know, very atmospheric vibe to it. Um, I really and like I said, I've been listening to this band for a while, so I can't believe I didn't find this album myself. Had to have James play it for me, but I've listened to it about 20 times, I'd say, easily. And this album could have been higher. It definitely could have if it weren't for the type of year that it's been this year. Um, but just some of the highlights from this album being the opener. I mean, there's the opener is just incredible. Like it just sets the tone so good. The title track is great. There's some really. I'm not even going to try to attempt to say the name of the fourth track, but there's very much so a story to tell with this album too. Very conceptual in nature. But yeah, I just really I love the epic nature of this album. Each song just has this bravado to it that just like brought up by her vocals. Just really great stuff all in all.
Hmm.
So yeah, I mean, yeah, Camille and Pierre, they just really bounce off each other really well in this album, and I liked hearing both of them a little bit more commonly together than being separated.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, just a great album overall. I was really surprised by this album because Novelist has kind of been in the background for me a lot. I listened to their albums to kind of forget it, but this one stuck with me really
Yeah,
well.
I'm also someone who has not loved Novelist's past albums, but I really did love Coda a lot.
Yeah, it was surprising.
Coda was very good.
My number 5 song is "God Fearing Man" by Eminence. Um,
Hmm,
this song,
that doesn't surprise me.
yeah, this song kind of. This is one that also stuck with me throughout the year. That this released like mid-year, and I have listened to it. I think there was a stretch where I listened to it every day for about 2 weeks. This song is utterly incredible. Um, this is everything Eminence is at their best. I think this is probably my favorite Eminence song now. Um, this song is just it continues kind of the story of the Black, which if y'all
Hmm.
remember, the Black was my favorite album of last year. Um, this song sort of continues that. This is one of their softer songs, surprisingly. It has a really great epic violin background in it. Um, great lyrics that continue sort of thematically. Like I've been looking for God in the silence to let me in from the depths of a blackened horizon. Just continuing that sort of thematic, very dark struggle that the Black story kind of enveloped. And I loved how this song and Death Will Have No Dominion both really continued that story greatly. Um, and this song's ending is just like comes out of nowhere. And if you watch the music video, there's just a great part where the the guitarist takes out a and they did this in reality too. He took a violin string and ran over his bass with. It's so
That
freaking
was
sick.
wild. Yeah, that
It's
was
so freaking
wild.
sick. This band just does not have any like I cannot get enough of this band.
Yeah, that very good song for sure. My number five album is from um, a band that I have so much love and affection for, and they continue to just wow me in every way possible. That is Thornhill with Bodies. Um, such a great album, and continues Thornhill's impressive dedication to never doing the same thing twice. I love that they're continuing to expand their sound and expand what they're doing. It's hard for me to say where this album places in Thornhill's discography. I am someone who loves their controversial album Heroin. I still have a great affection for that album and what it does. Um, I can't confidently say whether I like this one better than that one or not. In fact, I think I ranked Heroin higher in the year that it came out. But I still do love Bodies. Make no mistake, this one is excellent. It continues their Deftones inspired sound, but they make it entirely their own. And this one hones in even a little bit more thematically on the idea of the allure of toxic relationships and what that can do for a person. And it just keeps um, going deeper and deeper into that until we reach the very dark ending with For Now, which is a superb closing track. Just,
Classic Thornhill.
cinema is what that closing is. Um, they also do a little bit of a return to their classic sound on certain songs. Revolver is one that comes into mind, particularly for B, where the screams just on that one go off the charts excellent. Just a really surprising moment on the album that I loved. Um, Only Ever You really reminds me of uh, Blue Velvet from Heroin, which is my favorite from Heroin. I love the chorus of the song, such a vibe. Tongues is a rock banger, as is Nerve, which has such a catchy chorus from Thornhill. Probably one of their more accessible songs, I would say. If you're looking to get into Thornhill, I think Nerve would be an easy one to start with. Um, Under the Knife, a very unique penultimate track. And even songs like Crush that I didn't necessarily love the first time I heard them, I've really come around on as I've heard the album more. Nearly perfect album, I would say. Um, yeah, Thornhill is just. They've just really proven themselves. I think they released even as if they didn't need to flex anymore. They released another great song this year in Murcia, which is just a wild experience. Not my favorite song from them this year, but still a really cool track.
Funnily enough,
Um,
that song was my favorite of theirs this year. Out of
really,
I loved For Now, but that one was like, I don't know. Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, yeah, great stuff. At number five for me is "Perfect Soul" by Spirit Box.
Mm.
I this song came out last year, but it's part of the 2025 album, so it applies for
I did
me.
that last year too. We count it.
And as much as I did like Perfect Soul when I first heard it last year, this year it really stuck with me more, and even in context of the album, worked even better. And I have come to love this song. It might be Spirit Box has so many good songs, but I think it is one of their top three.
Oh,
Um,
yeah, I agree with that.
right against like I would say that Jaded and Secret Garden are my other two favorites by them. So you can tell I'm a bit of a melodic Spirit Box fan. And this one is marks yet another one of their more melodic songs. And I mean, I love it. I think the chorus is pitch perfect. Just a beautiful chorus. I love her husband's vocal harmonies in particular. I think that's actually the highlight of it. Just so beautifully implemented. And lyric wise, the song is really compelling because it sees sort of Courtney actually continuing on, I think, with the thematic arc of Secret Garden, where she is discussing her insecurities as an artist, as well as like her relationship with fans and like if people will love her and if she's really just putting on a facade of herself whenever she's on stage. Imitation of a perfect soul, as she puts it in the song, which is really interesting. Um, but I like that the song is sort of her letting go of those insecurities finally and putting them to rest. Um, Especially in the final iteration of the chorus, which is just so gorgeous. The instruments come in such a bright and
The
epic way.
harmonies, the harmonies. Oh, it's
Courtney just shows her vocal prowess, goes high. It's so gorgeous. It's so pretty.
absolute cinema.
Um, yeah, I love the song. Um, I think it is an example of Spirit Box at their best. And while the album didn't rank as high, I knew this song was going to have a high placement in and yeah, it deserves it in my top five.
My number four album and song could not be two different things entirely. My number four album, while a song from here didn't really get there, the album as a whole really struck good. This is Death Above Life by Orbit Culture. Um, and this album is like, if you want to just think of just straightforward metal chorus, straightforward as it gets, this is it. But this band is just unrelenting. Like, I remember their album in 23, believe it was called The Descent, if I remember correctly. Um, that album kind of spiraled into my top 10 at the very end of the year. And I remember just being so surprised by it. This is the album that has set them on fire, though. This album from beginning to end is just a gut punch of just incredible guttural screams. Um, the drumming is just top notch. I think the drummer of this band is probably one of the better ones we have in metal right now. Um, from beginning to like some of the highlights of this be the Tales of War, Hydra. Hydra is my favorite from the album. That would be an honorable mention, easy for me. Um, the title track is probably the most memorable just because of its awesome guitar riff. And then it ends with a really nice, soft, soft track in "The Path I Walk." And this album is essentially about realizing, about realizing that death is not the end; it's just another path. And cool, uh, a very common theme, but this album just like really like it melds together very nicely, and I mean that in the best way possible. Um, and my number four song, this is a song from this album that was a sleeper until fairly recently, but it's Ectasis by Deftones.
Hmm.
Um, this, and I looked up the meaning of ectasis just to be curious. It's the process of shedding old skin.
Oh, okay.
And this song kind of paints a picture of a place that's very much so like ready to be destroyed, like it is going to be destroyed. Um, this song is a little bit eerie and unsettling. Some really cool imagery here. Constant rivers rising, swollen streams dividing. Watch it cut its way through the valleys while devouring it entirely again. Then the ending, this town becomes a lake and it bathes our ghosts away. I mean, that's just some great writing right there. Like, come on. Um, this song kind of rose through the ranks. I would have had it. I would have had Infinite Sources. Really, that was kind of the closest one, but I just kept on listening to this one. And this one really kind of rose in my ranks as like, this is a Deftones song through and through. It's very weird. It's
Hmm.
very bizarre, but I just think that's when Deftones are at their best personally. I'll be talking about their album soon anyways, so, but that was my favorite track from that album for sure.
Hmm. At number four for me is the Chilling Alpine Adventure self-titled album. Um, yeah, this one has been a shoe-in for my top five ever since I heard it back in December. I'll admit, I almost shed a tear at the very concept that Falling Up was back in any
Yeah.
shape or form.
Yeah.
They have been so missed in the music scene, and just hearing their sound again, it was like being home.
Yeah.
It was so wonderful to
Yeah.
hear.
Yeah.
Just very comforting. And the album is just superb. Just superb. No surprise there. So many great moments. The signature visual imagery of the band comes back. I love the abstraction of their lyrics. I love that it just sort of always creates this beautiful picture in your mind and really makes you feel in ways that you can't quite describe but you know are still there. Um, as much as I love that Reanimation, Counter Moves was very close to making my favorite of the album,
Mm.
especially when I was re-listening to the album, and especially the second half of that song just really blows me away with just where it goes. It is just a gorgeous song. Autumn 38 is like just was talking about that one. That's another huge favorite of mine, and I love how out of left field that one is for the band. Um, yeah, from front to back, great album. I do love the opener, Waterfall House, and Five Angle was a really cool introduction to the album. Yeah, just absolutely loved. They also did release a song this year. I don't know
Hmm.
if you've heard
Yeah,
it.
no, Fern was great
I
too.
also
Yeah.
really loved Fern.
Yeah.
So this band actually had several songs that could have been within my best songs of the year contention. But superb album from a superb band.
Mm.
And my number four song is from Thornhill, and that is Silver Swarm.
Mm. I was
Uh,
wondering why you weren't talking about that one.
yeah, love this track. I mean, pure sex is
Yeah,
is
yeah,
what this
more
song
or
is,
less.
and
Yeah.
it's so sexy. And Thornhill is I love that Thornhill isn't ashamed to bring those vibes to the table and just deliver on them like 110%. And it makes sense for this song because this song is literally about the push and pull of a toxic relationship where you feel like you should step out, but it just keeps on bringing you back in no matter how much you try. It's sort of a follow up to their song Archangel from Heroin. It even has a line in it that is a direct reference to that song. So I thought that was pretty clever. Um, but I mean, the lyrics of the song perfectly encapsulate that push and pull, and the way that the vocalist Jacob just go vocally portrays it is very well done. There's a little bit of the vocal distortion that they used from Heroin, but not overdone as much. It's done well enough and placed well enough where it should be. And also, the breakdown is really unique in this one. It's intense, but it's also really danceable.
Mm-hmm.
I love that sort of combination, and it's just sort of the cherry on top of the song that really makes it so much fun. Just a really well done Thornhill track. One of their best for my money.
Yeah. Um. So my number three album, um, and listen, this top three albums, these top three albums, it's about as close as any top three could ever have been for me. Like choosing these was merely just like which one would I listen to on? It's like any of these could potentially be interchangeable. I feel like maybe except for number one. But my number three album of the year is Private Music by Deftones. Um, this is classic Deftones through and through. Like I don't know if like you know if fans were demanding they go back or if they just wanted to go back. But this is classic Deftones at its finest. Um, it just starts off right. It just starts off right in your face with My Mind Is a Mountain. Um, Infinite Source James talked about really nice. Just a lot of really classic Deftones cuts here. Even some they even bring out some of their rapping from the old days,
Mm.
really old days. Um, ends with a really somber departing the body at 6 minutes. Two 6 minute tracks on this album. You know it's a good Deftones album when there's two 6 minute tracks. Yeah, this is just, and I love the title of this album too because every song feels very like, and I think even he said this is like this album feels like it shouldn't be listened to by the public. It's just it's very personal, it's very emotional, and I mean even you said it from like Infinite Source, like it feels like maybe this band is saying goodbye, and
Mm-hmm.
maybe by going back to the classics, it that is the indication. It I really hope not because this is one of their crowning achievements. It's one of their best albums in a list of the ridiculous albums they have. This might be in their top three albums, honestly. Just how good it is, and it is because it is much like their old stuff, and just that classic guitar tone, the drumming, the spacey, ethereal vocals. It's all back here. It's just incredibly well done, and I just love the yeah. It's very good stuff. My number three song. This also might be one of my top played songs of the year is "Spectre" by Bad Omens.
Hmm.
Um, I, this band um since loves the death of peace of mind absolutely has rocked the rock world really. um they took a long break obviously to go on 1,000 tours because the death of peace of mind was god tier. But it's like, how do you follow that up? Well, you followed it up with what I might consider to be my favorite Bad Omen song of all time.
Very good.
This song is unbelievable. To really appreciate it, I feel like you watch the music video with it. The music
Mm-hmm.
video is incredible, and you can tell they're building another story with this one. Um, it's this awesome, almost very horrific, very unsettling sort of horror themed song.
Yeah.
It's awesome. And this is just Noah's vocals at their finest. It starts off as this really piano, calm piano and Noah's vocals, and then it explodes into this very classic rock song at its core. And Noah's vocals are just incredible. I mean, it's kind of default to say at this point. I loved the almost industrial guitar feel, especially towards the end of the song. Um, the lyricism in this just great stuff too. and the music video fits in with the lyrics perfectly. It's just this song is just addicting, and I'm very very excited for where they're going next.
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely. My number three. We had a crazy amount of crossover this year. My number three is also
Oh
Deftones
my
with Private Music.
gosh,
I think this is the most crossover we've ever had in a
in
given year.
music by far.
Yeah. Specifically, I mean, we've had crossover with albums, but not this much of albums in the same slot, I don't think.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's three.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whew.
Wow.
But yeah, this is a
Unreal.
very good album. I mean, no doubt. Now, unfortunately I'm not really super familiar with a lot of Deftones' other discography besides White Pony, which is an excellent album. I plan on listening to their full discography next year just to get the full context of them. But it does seem like their fan base is pretty open minded to what they do. It seems like a majority of their albums have been very well received. But a lot of fans, I do think, thought it was cool that they went back to an older sound this year, as well as combining it a bit with their newer stuff. But yeah, this album is just a really good piece of alternative rock with just Deftones doing what they do best. I mean, they're so confident in their craft. They don't. I mean, it's just so obvious through how consistent this album is from front to back. My Mountain is a Mountain, excellent opener. I think about you all the time. Another great vibey song from them. Definitely another highlight from them. Metal Dreams, super weird one that I don't see talked about as much, but I really think it's a pretty cool track on the album. Souvenir, just awesome flow throughout that track. I really love the progressions it made. Signature Deftones in that song, I feel like. And yeah, Departing the Body, superb closer. Excellent album. One that I took a little bit of time to get to because of all the music that I was trying to get through this year, but when I listened to it, I was like, yeah, this album has it. It is just something special in the rock world. So yeah, definitely deserving of a top three placement. Um, Now my number three song, and I'm going to be talking about this band pretty soon. It's one of my later placements on here. It's by this band called Moron Police, and this song called Pachinko. Um, this is a prog rock band, and they are very impressive at what they do. Let's just say that. This song is actually divided into two parts, two separate parts on the album, but they both make up the same track, so I'm counting them. It's a 15-minute song, and it is very impressive in what it does. It basically gives the thematic arc of the album. Um, and on initial look, it's very weird. The story. At surface level, it's a story of someone who has been reincarnated as a pachinko machine, and because they essentially didn't want to die, and so the devil essentially said, "Okay, you can be reincarnated." But they're reincarnated as a gambling machine, and they see the world for what it is and all its positives and its negatives. And the album is ultimately a very optimistic one, but also one that gives a message about like not trying to um, take for granted what you have it while you're alive. It's about appreciating life in general and um, all the unpredictability it has, but not letting unpredictability rule how you pursue your life goals. Which makes it symbolically make sense why this
Mm-hmm.
person was reincarnated as a pachinko machine in a very clever way. It's a really cool idea that I really think the
Mm-hmm.
band executes well. And this song, it really just gives the story in such a fun way, alternately comedic and silly, but also taking itself seriously in the appropriate times. And the different genres of and different types of progressive rock it goes through are just wild to witness. It is honestly something that is sort of hard to describe verbally, but when you hear it, it's something that is just so undeniably impressive and really just stood out to me. Undeniably deserving of this high placement on my list.
Interesting. I'll be interested to hear that. So my number two album, like I said, this number two and number one was so incredibly difficult. But yes, prog rock I would say is my favorite genre. Both of the prog rock overtook my number two and number one places. My number two album is Dream Theater's Parasomnia. Um, from the moment I listened to this, I knew it was going to be a lock for top two or number one. This album feels like it was basically made, genetically engineered to be enjoyed by me. Um, this album is just an incredible concept album. Dream Theater are known for their concept albums through. Oh, oh, there goes that. Um, Dream Theater are known for their concept albums through and through. This album is no different. It's a fantastic kind of horror themed album. Um, it starts off with a really nice, mostly, you know, actually all instrumental track in the Arms of Morpheus, which kind of gives it away, but there's a nice twist at the end, which I'll talk about later. But um, each of these is sort of reflecting on sort of, I don't know about illness, like very much so like things that happen that can make you scared, like fears and all that type of stuff. Night Terror is a great opener, very classic Dream Theater. A Broken Man is about a guy who kills his wife in his sleep, which is yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or no, no. Broken Man is about post traumatic war. Dead Asleep is the one about the man who kills his wife, and that one has an utterly addicting chorus. I just have to say that right up front. Midnight Messiah is basically like a Metallica song in Dream Theater form. Um, Bend the Clock is a really nice, softer track. And that one really grew on me. That one could have easily been my favorite off the album, but I'll leave my favorite off the album for just a second. Um, but my favorite song, or my second favorite song of the year, these are songs again that could have so easily been interchangeable. Um, this is Between the Buried and Me, Absent Thereafter.
Mm,
This
yes,
song
excellent song.
is utterly off the walls, batshit insane. To
It
like
is.
put it lightly. Um, this song and obviously the album. I'll be talking about the album later, but just to contextualize it, the album is a concept album about a weird ass liminal space hotel, basically. And this song is Between the Buried and Me at their absolute insanest. Like this song is actually pretty soft. It's very flowy. It's very ethereal. It's very weird. Um, and then at the end, it just explodes into this catharsis of ridiculousness. Like 700 different instruments, it feels like, are playing at any given time. Um, but it is the controlled chaos that makes Between the Buried and Me one of my like favorite prog bands currently. They go for it, and like the vocals are unbelievably incredible. Um, but it really is just the insanity of this song that sells it through the roof. Um, and just some great lyricism too. Um, Belong to what end? Embrace my existence. There's only silence. Embrace my existence. Watch as it's been pushed away. That's where the good stuff lies. There's only silence. We've come here to lie to ourselves. Just some really cool imagery in here too. And this song is about like 11 minutes long. It is unbelievable, and the ending is worth everything, in my opinion. So yeah.
At number two for me is Rain Man by Sam Fender. Um, this guy is one of my favorite rock artists working right now. He is really bringing something fresh to the scene of British rock in particular. I absolutely love him. Every year he's come out with an album. It has always made my top 10. Along with the song has always made my top 10, and that continues to be the case. Um, this song is incredible, and I do think it's his best, honestly. Which is saying quite a bit because he has so much good songs in his catalog. But I sort of love this one as a mature reflection on a relationship that he's had where he doesn't want it to be controlling him anymore, but at the same time, um, even though the other person is trying to let go as well, he's like, don't rein me in. I still want to hold on to whatever I can of this relationship because it's the only thing that has made me feel. It's a very sad song at the end of the day, and lyrics like all the bars around here serve my ghost and carcasses just sort of show the extent of his brokenness in this track. Um, and I, I love I just love the lyrics in the song and how they state things like him saying that all the memories of this girl ring like tinnitus. It's such an interesting way to state how the memories are affecting even how he hears things and how the world sounds to him. Um, and then, of course, as with the best Sam Fender songs, it has a wonderful sax solo in it that is a delight to the ears. There's also a version of this song that has a feature from another British vocalist named Olivia Dean that I really do like, that I think adds a cool context to the relationship because she sort of plays the role of the girl in the relationship that I think is really cool. But yeah, this is a great piece of rock. Sam Fender absolutely at the top of his game on this song.
All right.
Oh,
Did you
sorry.
say album? I was gonna say I'm not going crazy if you
I,
didn't.
I went backwards. My bad. My number two album is Willoughby Tucker. I'll always love you by Ethel Cain. Um, this album is um, it's very sad. That's the main word I can give to it. It is one of the most devastating albums I've ever heard. Um, it's actually a prequel to her album that came out a couple years ago called Preacher's Daughter, um, and it tells a tragic love story. Of now Ethel Cain, she's actually a character in her own albums, which is really cool. And she and this album details meeting this, falling in love with her childhood friend Willoughby Tucker, who eventually goes off to war um, and comes back stricken with PTSD and can't really love her anymore the way that he used to. Um, but despite that, she wants to delusionally hold on to the hope that there can be love there, even as she is going through her own trauma, which is detailed throughout the album of her being abused by her father, some religious trauma as well, um, and the fact that she doesn't even feel that she's worthy of love, such as the song Nettles explains, which has the very sad lyric to love me is to suffer me, which really just hits you like a freight train. The song is heart wrenching and easily one of the best on the album. This one, whereas the first album is much more of a um, uh, very in your face with the arcs that it goes on and the musical passages that it has. This one is a lot more subtle and soft, and even has some sort of folksy elements to it. But I really like it all the same. I do think Preacher's Daughter might be a little bit better. It's hard to say, but this one is very good still. Um, so many highlights on it. It also has some instrumentals in it that are gorgeous to the ear, such as Willoughby's theme or Radio Towers. Um, just a very well written album. Ethel Cain knows how to tell a story very well. Tempest is an eerie, chilling track where um, just the darkest parts of the album culminate together and they use a tornado as a metaphor or as a symbol for all their troubles just sort of clashing and colliding together. And there's also some really cool literary references to Wizard of Oz that work really well on the song. Um, yeah, this album is um, just a really cool experience. It is a long one. It's almost an hour and a half. It's almost a movie length,
Dang.
but I think it's worth it if you give it the patience and the time it deserves. It is really well done.
Hmm. All right. Now it is time for number ones. My album of the year for 2025 is The Blue Nowhere by Between the Buried and Me. This album stuck with me through this entire year. This album, this band has a tendency for, they take long breaks, but it results in quality every single time. I mean, their album Colors 2 was in my top 10 back in 20 all the way back in 2021. Um but this album is a it's a concept album, basically about a weird liminal space hotel where weird things happen. Um and that just allows them to go absolutely wild. Um I could easily see where this album would be a little bit divisive, but I think it's potentially their best album. Um, it starts off with "Things We Tell Ourselves in the Dark," which is a great melodic song. It has some weird instrumentation in it, with some like cowbells. Some um, it's a very calm, but the song has a little bit of an eerie undertone to it as well. The song following it, God Terror, is a little bit more of a classic classic between the Buried and Me. Um, I already talked about Absent Thereafter, best song on the album. Um, the rest of the album sort of unfolds this mystery going on behind door number 3, and um, Psychomantium is a great, like, this song is like what prog rock is all about. It just like it constantly repeats itself, but it keeps on getting more and more intense as it goes on. Then Slow Paranoia kind of slows it down. It speeds it up, slows it down, and it's a very pacey tempo, almost tempo based album, which is very interesting to me. The title track is fantastic, reveals everything. The ending, Beautifully Human. It kind of lyrically sort of harkens back to the first song. Um, it essentially this person that got essentially obsessed with the hotel and doesn't want to leave, and they don't leave. It's a very a very dark ending. At least that's sort of what I gleaned from the lyrics. I think sort of anyone could sort of look at the lyrics and think what they thought about the ending, but I feel like it definitely ended in that way. It sort of ends very abruptly, and it's like a very like whoa sort of ending. Um, and my number one song of the year, um, was the Shadow Man Incident by Dream Theater. This song is 20 minutes long, and it does not feel like it whatsoever. This song is the crowning achievement of the album by and large. Um, it is horrific through and through. It's about sleep paralysis, obviously. Um, and I essentially learned that the Shadow Man represents the boogeyman who sort of appears during sleep paralysis. Um, and just some really cool, horrific imagery. He stands in the corner in darkness as you go insane, fighting for breath as the incubus sits on your chest. The night demon waits as you dream, standing over your bed. It's just some awesome, horrific imagery. Um, and this is sort of the culmination of the entire album. Is like this person who's been experiencing all this stuff from childhood up until the very end, but then it's revealed that oh nope, it's all a dream. Ends with this really haunting, um, as you fall asleep, better keep a watchful eye and maybe leave a light on tonight. And then a bell rings, and then it repeats "wake up" 5 times, and that's the end of the album. It's like it is a very like you sit there and are like, and you have to sort of it's one of those albums you have to very much so like digest, and then you listen to it again and again and again because it's such an incredible album. So yeah.
Mm. My number one album of the year is People Watching by Sam Fender. Um, 5 out of 5 album for me. I actually didn't give a single album a 5 out of 5 last year, so this is my first one. Actually, in 2 years, I don't think 2 years ago I gave a 5 out of 5 either. But this album is excellent. Sam Fender's best by far. I love how deeply empathetic this album is. As the title would imply, it sees Sam looking on the world at large and trying to really empathize with people's struggles, even as he sees himself in position in a higher position of fame and power than he's seen before as a pretty successful artist. The song "Crumbling Empire" is one that really does a good job of reflecting on this, where he talks about seeing London from as a place that is a shell of what he once knew it to be, as more political corruption has taken hold. But he is also acknowledging that he does not have to face the same struggles that other people do because of the position he's in. And I love just how honest and just caring Sam Fender is throughout the album. The title track is excellent, just such an upbeat, fun song. The music video is also pretty incredible. It has Andrew Scott in it, playing basically Sam Fender, and he's really awesome in it. And it's actually sort of a touching dedication to Sam Fender's mom as well. At the end of the day, it's a beautiful track that sort of really gives you the main idea of what the album is going to be. Um, Nostalgia's Live, thematically, another really cool one, talking about how looking on the past, sometimes we romanticize it a little bit too much. Um, Remember My Name is a beautiful tribute to Sam Fender's grandparents who have passed away and how he's not going to forget them and all they meant to him. Um, Arm's Length is sort of a really sweet love song that's more pop rock and a very different one for Sam Fender. And Wild Long Lie is a very close second to Rein Me In for me. That was actually one of my favorite songs of last year. Not one of my top 10, but up there for me. And that one talks about um, Sam Fender's experience with drug addiction and the people around him who are still addicted to drugs. And it's a very haunting track as well, with another great saxophone. Yeah, this album is pitch perfect. Absolutely love it. Then my number one song of the year. We both apparently love lengthy tracks because mine is also quite long. Waco, Texas by Ethel Cain. The song is 15 minutes long, and it is. I also am like Joseph in that I love impactful closing tracks. This is an impactful closing track. It really just it leaves out the arc of the album in a very just sad and heart wrenching way, but feels very appropriate for the story that's being told here. Um, as it actually details the whole story of the album and does a very good job at summarizing everything and bringing everything to a head. Um, and it also cleverly connects to the album Preacher's Daughter. It actually has a chorus, or it has a musical passage that is reminiscent of a song from Preacher's Daughter where you realize how the albums connect. There's a song on Preacher's Daughter called The House in Nebraska where Ethel Cain sort of details this dream she has of raising children and living on a farm and just living a simple life. That is before in that album she is killed and eaten by her lover. That is something that happens in that very twisted album. But in this one, it's revealed that Willoughby Tucker was the person that she wanted to raise the kids with. But it's also sort of sadly revealed in here that while Ethel Cain wants to raise the kids, Willoughby Tucker is worried about how they would even be able to provide food for them because of how poor they both are. Um, just so many saddening revelations in this song as it plays out. And it just keeps on escalating until this climax that is uh, just so bittersweet because it is beautiful, but it is also very sad. And then just sort of the climax fading out with Ethel just saying "it is you" over and over again, as if trying to symbolically hold on to the memories of Willoughby Tucker as he is literally fading away from her. It is a very, very well done song. Not an easy listen, but truly the best song of the year for me.
All right, good stuff. Well, that is our top 10 albums and songs of the year. We will, as always, be back next year for more of this good stuff. And that'll pretty much be that. Peace out and have a good one and a happy new year.